Hey folks, Joe DiSanto here. In this video, I'm going to walk you through setting up an S Corp using an online service. Full disclosure, the link to the service is an affiliate link in the description there. So if you use the service with that link, I will get a commission. It's how I help pay for some of these videos, so I do hope you use it. The name of the service we're going to use is Bizee. It used to be called Incfile. And as I said, it's a third-party service that helps you set up entities. You can do Corps, S Corps, and LLCs on Bizee, among other business-related services. So I'm going to walk you through the process step by step to just make it super easy for you if you are embarking on setting up an S Corp. So thanks so much. I'll see you in the video. Hi, I'm Joe DiSanto. I'm a fractional CFO and business manager, but I also offer courses and one-on-one coaching in the areas of personal finance, small business, investing, and Quicken. See the links below for more info. I'm back. We're here at the Bizee website. As we go through this, I'm going to try to explain as much as I can and clarify things that I often prior a mystery to people doing this for the first time. So here under services, by the way, we have the main things that Bizee offers. There's more out there than LLCs, C Corps, and S Corps. That seems to be mostly in nonprofits. There's also LLPs, professional corps. But I think Bizee has sort of distilled it down, I guess, to maybe the most common things. We're going to be doing an S Corp today. And then over here, these are other like ongoing services that Bizee can help you with. Some of them are obvious, some of them are not. Some of them I will explain as we do this process because they'll pop up as possible things you can pay to have Bizee do for you, like registered agent or virtual address or a DBA. So I'll try to explain, as much as I can along the way of this process. But as I said, this video is going to be about doing an S Corp. Now, I should also give the disclaimer, I'm not a CPA or an attorney, but I will say that, any kind of entity has two factors to it. It has a liability factor, meaning, the entity draws a line between your business work and your personal assets. So if you get sued, hopefully the person suing you will stop at your entity and they can't access your personal assets. But then beyond that, the second kind of major component or consideration for an entity is tax treatment. So from my conversations with my own CPA as an attorney, I can say that, for a consulting corp, single member kind of entity, you're like me, you're a consultant, you do services. From a liability point of view, like the LLC and the corp are kind of similar in the liability protection they offer. There is a tax treatment different for sure. So I'm not going to get into that in this video. I might do another video about that, but we're going to assume that you've done that research and you want to make an S Corp, and this video is going to help you do that using Bizee. Okay. So let's get started. So I'm going to click here, start now. We're going to, we have S Corp is kind of pre-selected because I clicked on it. I'm going to use the state of California as a example here because I know the California website pretty well and so on. So first thing we come to here is, select which package you want. And if you've never done this and don't know much about it, this, you kind of are like, what should I choose? I don't know if I need all this. So I'll go through each item. So preparing and filing articles of incorporation. This is basically opening the entity. And honestly, you can, when they say prepare and file, in a sense, they're almost referring to the fact that you can go do this on probably every Secretary of State of any state's website. They'll have an online application and you can just go there and do it. And you would pay a state filing fee. And if you look over here, the silver package, it's a zero cost plus the state filing fee. The state filing fee is what the state charges you to open the entity and file the application. Now, essentially what this is indicating here is that Bizee is saying we won't charge you anything, to just do kind of the basic filing. You can just pay the state fee. Obviously, Bizee does that because they want to sell you other things, and there are other things I think we should buy, and that's partly why I use Bizee. Bizee is basically kind of working on top of the state website. It makes the application process easier for you. That's why you would use it. But then also it offers other services and items that you're going to need, and I'll explain what those are. It offers here free registered agent service for the year. We'll talk about this in the process, but you can be your own registered agent, so don't sign up for the registered agent thing if you live in the state you're creating the entity of, which most likely you should. Statement of organizer, I think that actually is basically a document. Because Bizee's helping you do it, there'll be like a document saying that they did. So I think that's what that is. And everything that has a check mark is included as in the $0 price. Unlimited name searches, basically you're gonna give it a name that you want for your entity. And probably we'll be able to give it some backups. So it will essentially de facto go search and see if that name has already been taken. And if it has, it'll try your backups. But we're going to go look and double check our entities available in the first place. So this kind of de facto happens, but they say it's free. Expedited filing. I mean, you don't need this if you don't need expedited filing, but it's saying that you'll be able to add this on to the silver package a la carte if you want. Lifetime compliance alerts, that basically means Bizee is going to send you an email every year saying, hey, you got to file your statement of information. Do you want to pay us to do that for you? So that's them kind of ongoing trying to sell you a service, though it is handy to get that reminder, and maybe you do want to pay them to do it, even though you can just go do it yourself on the state website. EIN business tax ID number. So every entity generally would get an employer identification number. It's kind of like the social security number of your entity. Technically, you don't need it if you're not getting employees, but really in practical reality, you do, because you want to give it to go get a bank account and build credit for the business. So you're going to want to get this. Now, you can, after you set up your entity with the state and have articles of organization, you can go to the IRS website and get the EIN number for free, though it is a little bit easier to pay Bizee to do that for you. I normally do. So we might consider adding it on. However, I'm going to give you the heads up right now. If we don't select that early on, as we go through the process, Bizee will offer some of these things at a little bit of a deeper discount. So we'll see if that's still the case. I haven't actually done this in over a year, so I don't know, maybe they've changed their website, but we'll see. So EIN number is something we're going to want. The IRS Form 2553. This is an additional form you file after you open your corp to make it an S Corp. If you don't do this and you open a corp, by default, it's a C Corp. That's the standard default tax treatment of a corp, or an INC, which stands for incorporated. We're doing the S Corp, so we'll have to do this Form 2553. And I'll also say now, when we file this, you're going to need the EIN number. So some things have to be done in order. So this process is, it does take a while. It takes a while for the entity to get filed. Once you get the articles of incorporation, you then go get your tax ID. Once you get the tax ID, you can file the Form 2553. So this is handy to have Bizee help you fill out the form and submit it. So I usually get that at some point through this process. Corporate bylaws, that's basically a document that is the overall set of instructions and or statement of how the entity is going to exist and be run. So, for example, if you were going to have a partner in this entity, in your corporate bylaws, it would state both the partners' names and what their ownership is. The corporate bylaw document, like Bizee offers a basic boilerplate corporate bylaws. And if your entity that you're setting up is just for you as like a consultant, either you're the only owner or you and your spouse are the only owners, a boilerplate corporate bylaws is fine, and I would pay for it from Bizee. It comes with a few blanks that you fill in, blah, 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 sign it, and you just keep it in your filing cabinet. You don't actually file the corporate bylaws with the state of California or any state. They literally just sit there, and are there in case you need them. Now, if you have a partnership you're creating, or you're going to have 2 or 3 or multiple owners, you probably would want to seek out an attorney to create your corporate bylaws, because that's where, whatever you and your partners agree upon in terms of who's going to do what and what would happen if someone wants to leave and various, basic things like that, you would have a custom corporate bylaws document that would explain all of that. And you want to basically, whenever you're creating a partnership, whatever you agree to up front, you want to get that on paper, so that later on down the road, if you have any beefs with each other, you can go back to what you put on paper at the beginning and say, we said this at the beginning, we need to follow that. Okay, moving on. The business banking account offer. This, they make it seem like it's a product, but really at some point in this process, they're going to offer you to talk to a banker at some bank. Last time I did this was Bank of America, so they can sign you up as a business banking customer. So this isn't really a product offering. It's just going to be a pitch. Same thing for business tax consultation. Honestly, you should have spoken to your CPA or a tax advisor before doing this, so that you know that you're setting up the right entity for your needs. Generally, you would speak with a lawyer and a CPA, because the lawyer would give you the knowledge about the liability aspect of the entity you're going to open. The CPA would give you the information about the tax implications of the entity you're opening. And it's really annoying when you go talk to your lawyer and they're like, I can tell you this, but you got to go talk to the CPA about this. And the CPA is like, I can tell you this, we got to talk to the lawyer about this. And like, no one person will tell you what to do. They're always like, I can't tell you what to do. I can just give you the information I can give you as, in my field. So it can be pretty annoying when you're trying to do this for the first time. Everybody sort of punts to each other. And you kind of have to make the decision in the end your own. I will say, for me, as an individual consultant, I did an S Corp. As opposed to, the only other alternative would have been I would have opened an LLC and likely did an S Corp election for the LLC, which is also something you can do. I know that makes it very confusing. How are those two things different? It's a subtle difference, but again, that's for another video. Banking resolution. A banking resolution is basically a document that says, hey, we as the owners and directors of this entity, whatever it's called, came together and decided we want to open a bank account. And we're going to do that now. And you sign that. It's a little piece of paper. And when you go apply for your bank account, they're going to ask you for your articles of incorporation, your tax ID number, and a banking resolution saying that everyone agreed that opening a bank account makes sense. So the thing is about this, most banks will provide one for you, so we don't really need to get this. So these 3 things we want to get here. We don't need to really get this. Like Bank of America, where I bank, they'll give you a banking resolution. You can just fill in the blanks and sign it. Okay, down here, domain name and business email. So I guess for $27, they'll sell you a domain name, whatever you want it to be, and set you up with business email. I'm sure there's an ongoing fee for that email. You may or may not want to do that. You may already have bought your domain. I bought my domain on GoDaddy, but I have G Suite for my business email using my domain. Obviously, if you're on my channel here, my domain is playlouder.com. Business contract templates. So this might come in handy. I don't know, there's a whole variety of different basic business contracts you might want. Like one is if you're going to hire subcontractors, there's probably a contract in there that's for 1099ers saying, hey, we all agree you're working not as an employee. You need to have your own workers' comp insurance. Most likely it says in there, whatever else, you can't sue me. We have arbitration, things like that. So that's an example of a business contract for vendors or subcontractors. I don't know the other contract templates that are in there. I don't know. For $150, you might be like not knowing what you're getting, or maybe at some point in this they'll explain more what's in there. Online access dashboard. This is basically referring to your own login for Bizee, where you could go get your articles of incorporation and download them in the future if you need them. I recommend you download everything right at the end of the process and keep them in a folder on your computer, but Bizee does keep them for you. Unlimited phone and email support. That's just supposedly you can call Bizee and get support. Honestly, it's mostly going to happen over email, and hopefully you don't even need any support. So that's the things that we're going to be kind of working with here, and an explanation of all that. I'm going to select this silver package and we're going to press on. So what I'm going to do is explain each thing that I'm going to fill in, and then I'm going to fill it in but cut that out just for privacy's sake. So we're going to put in the first name of the contact person of the business. If this business is just for you, then of course you're the contact person. If you're opening this S Corp and you have a partner, we're going to put in both of your individual information, but you're going to select one of you as the main contact. And really this is the contact for Bizee, but also you will probably be listed as the main contact on the application that goes through to the state. So whoever is going to be the paperwork person will go here. So I'm going to start filling it in. Okay, moving on to the next page, state filing time. Obviously it says $0 for a 4-week filing time. That's what it says California roughly is, or you can go fast for $50. So I'm going to go just the $0. I'm not in a rush. Next. Okay, next. Company information, the S Corp name. Okay, so we're going to obviously put the name in there. But I mentioned earlier we're going to do a little search on the California website to see if our name is available. So over here, I'm just going to go California Entity Search. And I think this is the one. Let's see. Here we go. Look, business search. I'm going to search for the name Guacamole is Extra and see if that is available. And look, see, it says no results. So I'm thinking that's available. Now, just for argument's sake, I'm going to shorten it to Guac is Extra and see. And look, this already exists. Can you believe that? Someone has an entity called Guac is Extra. Opened in 2018 by Joaquin Cabron. I don't know who that is, but in my case here, we'll go for Guacamole is Extra. When I search that, again, nothing comes up. So unless someone actually is doing this same thing today or tomorrow or whatever and gets in there before I do, this name is likely going to be available. So I'm going to go with that. Now, oh, look, there we go. I was going to say, what if it's not available? Whatever. It says even here, in the event the company name is unavailable, we will contact you to request an alternative company name. We will continue to work with you until we find a name that is acceptable by the state. So I'm surprised they kind of do it this way and they don't, I know in the past, this service used to ask for 2 backups to avoid having to go back and forth with you over phone or email, but I don't know. They've changed it now. So, but the fact that we looked up it in advance is probably going to save us the hassle there. I'm going to go with the Inc. designation. You can put, if it's a corp that you're doing, which is what we're doing, you got to put one of these designations at the end, but I'm going to go with the INC period, classic. You could also go no period. I might do no period because sometimes websites, they don't like characters and stuff when you put it in. So I'm just going to go no weird character. So Inc. Now you could possibly even put a comma, because this is a commonplace thing here. Guacamole is Extra Inc. And over here on this website, sometimes if you look up, I don't know, I'm just going to randomly look up game day. You'll find that there'll be multiple companies that seem to have the same name, but the distinction is a comma. So a comma actually is considered a character in this, but I'm going to go no comma for the same reason as I mentioned before. Okay, tell us what industry your business is in. Well, I'm going to fill in the rest here and then we'll skip ahead. But you could put in whatever works, whatever your business is, obviously. Okay, corporate stock information. Down here, when you have a corporation, the owners are actually shareholders. So every corporation has a certain amount of common stock, and i.e., you go buy stuff on the stock market, you're buying shares in a corporation. What you choose here is kind of arbitrary, but when you start a company, you are going to invest money in it, right? So I always go with the round number of $100. So I'm going to say there's 100 shares at the value of $1 a share, and there's one shareholder. So technically, when you go open your bank account, you should put $100 in, right? And that will be the value of your common stock. That will be the value of the company when you start. We could also make this 1,000 because this does end up on your company's balance sheet. So it might actually be a little cleaner to make it 1,000. And so you're going to, in this case, they'll put $1,000 of startup money in here. But it is kind of an arbitrary thing. You saw the default was 1,500 at a penny, which would have made what? The value of the company $15. So I'm valuing the company at $1,000. And do people always put this money in? Probably not. But, you want to follow the rules of engagement as best as possible, because when you don't, it makes the liability aspect of your corporation a little bit more pierceable. They call it piercing the corporate veil. So, you say you're going to buy 1,000 shares of this company in $1, you should do it. And you always want to have a bank account for the company and follow, all the corporate requirements. All right, next. Okay, here we go. They're going to kind of throw us an offer and ask us some questions here. So company address. We recommend using our virtual address service for maintaining your personal privacy. So anyway, yeah, you can use your home address for the business, especially if it's a home-based business. That is the address of the business. However, if you don't want, I showed you here, we can go look up any of these companies and see an address. If you don't want that to be visible on the Secretary of State, you can have a virtual address for the company. And they offer a service here for $29 a month for that. I wouldn't do that. I'm just going to go with the home address and use that. And then, of course, if you're choosing that, you can fill in the home address info here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, look at this. Now they're offering us a premium service package here. Let's see. Upgrade for only $99 to receive these 5 premium services. Look at that. Business contract templates. $150 value. We'll get that. EIN number. Hey, that was the one we wanted. We wanted that. Corporate bylaws. Yeah, we wanted that one. That's a good deal. Corporate organizational meeting minutes. I'll tell you what that is, actually. One of the other distinctions of LLCs and corporations is the annual sort of paperwork requirements, if you will. The LLC does not have any annual paperwork requirements, which is why it is part of the reason it is attractive. The corporation is supposed to hold an annual meeting of board of directors and, discuss any important issues. You're supposed to take meeting minutes of that, and everyone signs them, and you put them in your filing cabinet with your corporate bylaws. You don't send them to the state. No one's, there's no document police coming to your house and making sure that you did your corporate minutes. However, as I said in the previous, just earlier there, that you want to do all of the things that you're supposed to do for your corporation and make sure it maintains its liability protection. So every year if you're the only shareholder, you meet with yourself, you say, we didn't decide to do anything, unique this year, and we're good, we sign it, and that's it, and you put it in a folder. So This gives you a corporate organizational meeting minutes template that you can fill out every year and sign, and you're good. So that's cool that we'll get that. The banking resolution, we talked about that earlier. We don't need it, but they're offering here for $35. So of the three things I said we wanted, the EAN, the corporate bylaws, we're getting those two things. Plus we're getting everything else for $100. I say we go with this deal right here. Now remember, the third thing we needed, if you're trying to remember off the top of your head, was the Form 2553, but that is included. So I'm going to hit Get Upgrade and Bonus. All right, so look at this now. Look at all we're getting here. We got the gold upgrade for $99. We got the banking resolution, meeting minutes, bylaws, EAN, electronic delivery, business contracts, Form 2553, phone support. We are golden, if you will. Okay. Here we go next. So now we're going to give information about the ownership or the shareholders, I should say, and then the directors. So every corporation has shareholders and a board of directors. So you might, recall the phrase, he's chairman and CEO. So, well, it also has employees. So a CEO would be an employee, essentially, of the company. But a chairman would be on the board and, be leading the board. So like in a public company, you have shareholders, they own stock, and that's going to be board of directors, employees, often CEO, but also the public, right? Then you'll have a CEO who's an employee, and then you'll have the board of directors, and sometimes the CEO is also the chairman of the board. Usually the CEO is on the board. But the board is made up of people that might not work for the company and just advise the company. In our case, if we're a single owner here, we're going to be the CEO and the single board member and essentially chairman. If you had two owners, you would probably both be board members, but you could add additional board members, that don't work for the company and don't even get compensated. Okay, so now that I've explained the directors, what I'm going to do, I know how this page works. Once I select a director, it's going to prompt me to fill in the information for that person. Now, if you recall at the beginning, I put in a contact person's name. That contact person didn't have to be an owner, or a director, but in this case, they are. So once I select one here, it's going to pop up that person's name that I entered in their address, and I'm going to select that information and make them the one director. A corporation also has to have a president/CEO, a secretary, and a treasurer. It doesn't have to have a vice president. That's optional. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one director here, and then I'm going to make that person the president, secretary, and treasurer. So if you are the single owner of an S Corp, you are going to be the president, the secretary, the treasurer, and the single board member. Just FYI. If you're going to have a couple owners, you could still make one of you all those things, but you would have two directors at the very least. Okay, I'm going to fill that in and see you in the next stop. Okay, it says, please provide shareholder information for Guacamole. So I'm going to select the single shareholder here. Down here, you can see the name and number of that person I mentioned. I'm going to blur that out. But I'm going to select that person as the single shareholder, and I'm also going to select them as the representative. Okay, registered agent information. So the registered agent is a person designated in the state of the entity you're registering that will get any legal or official information that the state sends to the entity. So initially, that would be if you ask them to mail out articles of incorporation, they would mail it to that person. But, if someone files a lawsuit against the company, the registered agent would get a copy of that information. So it's like the registered agent has to be in the state of the entity. So if you happen to be creating an entity in another state from where you're going to operate or you live, you would have to pay for a registered agent service to have someone located in that state. So a person and an address in that state. However, I'm assuming that you're creating an entity in the state that you live, and in that case, you can be your own registered agent and save the cost of paying for an independent registered agent. So as you see here, it says California requires a corporation to appoint a registered agent. Only Bizee offers 1 full year of registered agent services for free. That's cool, but as you see, it's then $120 a year after that. So here you could say to Bizee, yeah, I'll take your deal, but I know you're going to charge me in a year. Or you could say, nope, I would like to act as my own registered agent. Once you do that, it's going to give you an option to select the person that you've been entering the information of, or one of those people, pretty easily. That's what I'm going to do here. Now, also, you can have a company be a registered agent. Usually when you're doing a third party, registered agent, it'll be like Registered Agents USA at this address. So you can have the registered agent be another entity. And obviously that entity would have employees that would deal with anything or forward on any information. But in our case, we're going to do individual, and I'm going to select the person that I've been entering this whole time. I blurred it out down here, obviously. So I'm going to select them now and then move on. EIN tax identification number. An employee tax identification number is a 9-digit number that is signed by the IRS and used to identify taxpayers. We will apply and obtain your EIN for the IRS electronically. This option is the fastest way to obtain the EIN. Yes, we want them to do that. So it's asking here for a contact of a person to get this information. You're going to get eventually in the mail an SS4 letter, which is the document that the IRS sends out that has your tax ID on it. So we're going to select the person we've been selecting this whole time to get that letter. It does ask for that person's social security number here. And it says, why am I required to provide my social security number? In order to obtain an EIN, the IRS requires a principal, typically one of the members or directors of the entity, to provide a social security number. This creates a formal affiliation with the company. So there you go. That's why it's asking. And then you're going to give a physical street address for them to issue the EIN to. So I'm going to fill this out and press on. Okay, complete your order for Guacamole is Extra Inc. Setting up small business banking. Open your new account over the phone. No financial visit is required. Earn a bonus from $100 to $500 with qualifying activities. So here we go. This is like them offering, if you recall, when we were going down the list of things, it was like a banking offer. This is it. Obviously, they're affiliated with Bank of America. They give you some bonuses for signing up. I mean, I bank at Bank of America. I like it. I do think it's actually the best online banking out there. And because of what I deal with lots of different online banking. But, if you want to get these bonuses, great. If not, go to your own bank, whatever works for you. I'm going to say no, not at this time. Select your preferred delivery method. We're going to go electronic delivery. Tax strategy, free consultation. Again, I don't know exactly who they connect you with. I assume they have like a list of independent tax consultants, that they set up like a consulting call. Obviously, I assume they get, referral fees for that. But I'm going to say no, I'm not interested in that at this time. Hopefully, as I said, you kind of talk with your CPA before, and that's what helped you pick an entity. I will say this here, that because you're doing an S Corp, you have to do a tax return for the Corp in addition to your own personal tax return. I assume that's been explained to you by someone at some point, but FYI. Business licenses and permits. So this is a service that will help you identify if you need to have a license for what you do. Most likely you're going to know that already, my guess. Like, if you're a contractor, like general contractor, we all know that most general contractors need to be licensed by the state. They need to take an exam, and pass it and prove that, they can build your house without it falling down. Many professions require state-based or city-based licensing. Even if your profession doesn't need a license, you'll still most likely will need to register for a business license in your city or county. Like, every municipality probably in California requires you to register with the city and pay some nominal fee to have your quote unquote business license. Oftentimes when you go into a business and they have a little, document that's framed, that's their business license. I'm in Florida, in my town, I have to go register and renew every year and say that I operate and do business here in my town in Florida, and they charge me $60. Some cities, we'll go back to Los Angeles, depending on what industry you're in, they do a charge based on your gross revenue. So you'll definitely want to go register with your local municipality for your business license, again, to keep your corporation sort of in compliance. But perhaps you need further licensing. I think like even to be a barber, you need to be licensed by the Board of Barbary, So this could help you go seek out whatever license you would need. I'm going to say no here because in this case, I know there is no licensing besides the city, but maybe this is something you want or not. Of course, you can do your own research online and maybe avoid the $100 fee. Okay, summary page. Likely I'm blurring this whole thing out here, but it's got your, formation info, state, entity type, name of the contact person, registered agent name and address, company name. When it asked you what industry you were in earlier, that's so it could assign, I guess, an NAICS code, which is a number that will actually go on your business tax return. What exactly is done with that? I don't know. I don't know if that's just for surveying purposes, but it's very common to be asked for. Goes through the director info here, shareholder info. So look at all of this and make sure it's correct. You want to make sure that, your social security number is right. You didn't enter an info incorrectly, blah, blah, blah. And then hit next. Okay, here we go. We're down to paying for this thing. So I feel like, again, Bizee, what it does is make this application process easier for you. Obviously, again, if you just have it do the part of kind of pre-filling in the state form for you and sending it in, it doesn't charge you anything. But you get the extra things that you need here as well, and I think it makes the process, generally easier. So I'm going to fill in the credit card info and pay for this thing, and then we'll go on from there. Okay, it says your order was successful. What's going to happen from here is you're going to get probably some, confirmation emails, and they're going to say, hey, we're going to go submit your application to the state, assuming the name, is acceptable. The application will get processed within 4 weeks' time, and the next thing you're going to get is articles of incorporation. And probably also, let's see here, if we click this, it's probably going to also give you information to sign into Bizee for your portal. So once you get your articles of incorporation, it's a document that the state issues. Bizee will post a PDF of it in the portal. Also in the portal will be those other documents, corporate bylaws, it'll be probably those contract templates, your banking resolution. And the other thing is going to be a pre-filled out 2553 form that will have to get sent in. And then inevitably you'll get an SS4 letter in there as well. Now just heads up, I actually have a paid course that not only includes this video that you're getting for free, but also more videos further explaining all the things that I just mentioned and the additional steps that need to be taken to fully complete out the setting up the business process. So showing you what the SS4 letter is like, walking you through the 2553 thing and making sure you fill in the tax ID number and getting that sent off through Bizee and getting that, that completed. I also then walk you through signing the banking stuff and getting the bank account, and then I talk through a handful of other things. So I'll put a link to that course in here as well if that's something you're interested in, if you want additional instruction to take you all the way through the final completed steps of the entity. But this, at the very least, gets you through the setup and explains all the things that you're going to run into. And hopefully, it makes you getting your entity set up much easier, and probably saved you a few bucks where you didn't have to buy things you didn't need. And that is that. So hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of stuff. All things personal finance, small business, and investing. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.